How can I break the diet cycle? It's certainly a question I've asked, having once been obese and then trying many different diets to lose weight, some of which worked, at least for a while. Health Explorer Neil Fellows here, and if you want to get healthy and fit and stay healthy and fit and do it in a way that's unique and natural to you, then please subscribe and hit the bell to get notified of all of our latest interviews and reviews. Today we're talking about how to break the diet cycle. What's been your experience of diet? Are you stuck in a diet cycle yourself of just trying one diet after another? To explore the topic of how to break the diet cycle, I'm joined by Bex Brame. So Bex, there are people who, like I was once, asking themselves the question, how can I break the diet cycle? So let's start by talking about the diet cycle and why diet cycles might actually be unhealthy.
Absolutely. So diet cycle isn't, medical terminology or anything. It is a concept, I would say, more an idea. So you know what it's like. I'm sure you've been there yourself, Neil, when you kind of get this idea in your head, I'm going to get healthier. I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to work out. Everything's going to be great. And perhaps you select a plan, or you decide you're going to follow a certain program, or you're just going to do it yourself by eating better. And you start off and you're really motivated and you're excited and it feels really good. And that lasts for however long it lasts for you. That's going to vary person by person. And perhaps you do even lose a little bit of weight to start off with, which generally we know is probably most likely to be water weight, but that's by and by. And that kind of keeps you motivated for a bit longer until you have a moment where it just feels all too much. Maybe you've had a bad day at work, you've come home and argued with your partner, your kids are messing you around, or maybe it's something like a holiday comes up or it's Christmas and it's like, oh, this is just not worth it anymore. Yeah. So you give up, and often it's like you give up everything. You stop going to the gym, you stop caring about what you're eating, you just can't do it anymore. And what happens then is that's fine for a couple of days, but then you start hating on yourself and beating yourself up like, oh, I'm such a failure. This has happened again. I said this time it would be different, but I failed again. And so you probably languish in that stage for a little while until you then psych yourself up to start all over again. This time it will be different. This time, I'll pick the one thing that works for me. Maybe you've read about it in a book or you've seen it on social media and you're like, yeah, this time I can do it. And it starts all over again and it's a never ending cycle. So that's, what the diet cycle is and what I'm talking about when I refer to the diet cycle.
Yeah, it's really interesting hearing a couple of things you've said there. Definitely for me, that the motivation would end as soon as the weight loss stopped. I might get to a point where it's been, say, 3 or 4 days and you haven't seen any change. That would then become a little bit demoralizing. The other thing, what you said there, I would sort of relate to like emotional eating. So something would happen that would throw me into one of those cycles where I would actually just start to eat almost out of anger.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, they would be the things that would get me. For many people, what would be sort of like a healthy way to break this cycle? What do people need to do?
Yeah, I think I probably only answered the first bit of your last question. So maybe we should just touch on why the diet cycle is such a big problem and why it's so unhealthy. And typically that is because it results in weight cycling. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. And typically every time you will go up a little bit more and down a little bit less until suddenly, like, this girl that started Weight Watchers at 20 at probably quite a healthy weight, she gets to 50 and she's like, what the hell has happened? And it's because she's just been weight cycling for so long, which we know is unhealthy. It leads to an increased mortality rate. It increases the risk of osteoporosis and fractures. You lose your muscle mass. It can lead to high blood pressure and chronic inflammation, which inflammation is a massive topic at the moment in the health world, isn't it? I'm sure you've kind of had articles and things are kind of cropping up, and we are starting to learn about the dangers of inflammation, which weight cycling really contributes to. So it can be a really, really unhealthy place to be. And yet people think like, well, what is my other option? Because the solution to so many health concerns is touted as weight loss, right? That's the way it is shown to us. Well, just lose weight and you'll be fine, you'll be healthy. And so the cycle begins again.
Yeah. For many people, though, we're talking about weight loss really in particular here, and weight loss really is a marker for people that they might be kind of like looking at. But if that wasn't the case and there were other ways that people could measure their health, what would be some of those ways?
Absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head there, that we are told that weight loss equals health. Being smaller equals healthier. That's what diet culture would have us believe. This understanding that thinner is better, and that is touted across society. So I think it's really important to know what health actually is. And the World Health Organization defines it as a state of complete physical, emotional, and mental well-being, and not just the absence of disease. And when you look at it in that respect, you then can start to look at this kind of, I like to call it a 360 approach to health, where it's not just diet and exercise, but you're also looking at things like stress, like managing your sleep, like managing your home environment. What's your work-life balance like? How are you bringing joy into your life? Have you got a comfortable and supportive home environment? So all of these things then come into this idea of health. But I totally understand that for some of us, you may want to measure health and know that, all right, well, I understand that perhaps my weight won't decrease, but I want to know I'm getting healthier. So I would say the two really crucial things to look at is your sleep and your stress levels. Are you sleeping well at night, and are you managing your stress? Because we know, I'm sure you know, Neil, like the contribution that stress can have towards many, many other conditions, from anything like, heart conditions all the way through to fertility. Stress can have an impact. But if you want to measure some stuff that's a bit more tangible, then I'd be looking at things like your movement. Are you getting stronger? Can you run for longer if you're going out walking or running? Like, what's your endurance like? What's your resting heart rate? So when you've finished exercising, how long does it take to return to your heart rate being normal? Your energy levels in the daytime, have you stopped slumping, falling asleep at your desk at work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and suddenly your energy is increasing and staying high throughout the day? Even things like well woman exams or well man checkups, where they're going to check things like your blood pressure and cholesterol, they can all be really nice things that you can use to measure health improvement if you're not looking at it just from a point of view as weight loss.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, there are so many ways as well these days that we can, of course, check in with our health in different ways, like Fitbits and, other platforms that I also review quite a lot of products on the Total Wellness Club channel. So there's lots of things out there that we can now use to check in. I'm talking with Bex Brame right now. We're talking about diet cycles. If you're finding the content really useful and helpful, please do give us a thumbs up, because it really does help the channel. Bex, what I love, the reason why I do what I do is because I love hearing stories about somebody who was struggling and then how their life has changed. Is there a story that you can tell us about somebody you've helped with a diet cycle?
Absolutely. That's the work I do, and that's what I love to do, because I've had that experience firsthand of kind of breaking out of that mentality, and I know just the freedom and relief it brings. So being able to bring that to other people is a joy and a privilege and a pleasure every day. But I can talk to you about one of my clients that's actually, I've just finished recently working with her. She's a lady in her 50s, and like many people, I think she's, an average size British woman, probably kind of size 14 to 16 on any given day. and has been through her entire life obsessed with this idea that she needs to lose weight, that she needs to get healthier, and that she's not good enough at the size she is. And that's not unusual, by the way. Like, there's research to show, like, the average woman spends 31 years of her life on a diet. So she is by no means an anomaly. I know, right? That's huge.
Wow.
By the age of 45, most women have tried over 60 different diets, plans, apps, cleanses. Like, it's mind-blowing when you look at the statistics around it. But anyway, so I was working with her, and we worked through a process. I incorporate both intuitive eating and health at every size principles into my program, and we were working through those together. And I think her real breakthrough was, she had this idea that she had this particular snack that she had every single morning, that she didn't even particularly like it, but to her it was healthy, and it was the thing she should be eating in the morning. And when this was brought up in conversation, I was like, so why do you eat it? And when she actually looked at it, she was like, I honestly can't tell you. I've just been doing it for so long, and I believed that it was the right thing, but I don't enjoy it. I don't get pleasure from it. Yeah, why am I doing it? And the fact that she was able to change that simple habit that she had been bought into, which I think so many people have, it's like, when you are dieting or trying to restrict your food in any way, perhaps you fancy chocolate cake, but you give yourself, chocolate covered rice cakes or a chocolate protein bar, thinking that is going to quell it. And of course it never does. And actually just having like a small portion of chocolate cake would have just satisfied the urge and you could move on. The fact that she was able to overcome that, it sounds so simple, but for a 50-year-old woman that has been stuck in this habit for God knows how many years, that was a massive life changer for her. And it was amazing to see the reaction.
I love that. I mean, one of the important things I believe when I'm asked to talk to people about health, one of the things that I do always talk about is the habits, and going and running alongside the habits. We always have that sense of awareness of, well, is this actually really working for us? And that for me is a key thing. Now, talking of which, when I interview people, I like to finish with a challenge, something that somebody could take from what we've talked about here today and use as a practical first step to move forward. And if it works for them, then great, that's something that they can continue to work with. If it doesn't work, they could always throw it out and find something else that does work for them. So based on what we've talked about so far, Bex, what would be a challenge that you would leave us with?
Absolutely. I think the first thing to note is that to make the decision to break up the diet cycle, you have got to let go of this idea of weight loss. And that can be really, really tough. So just acknowledging that first and foremost. Many of the clients that I see have a rock bottom moment that leads them to that. But you've got to be emotionally ready to be able to do this work, because it is a big life change. But in terms of a practical first step, the first thing I always have clients do is take a look around their house and figure out what is keeping you in this diet mentality. Is it your set of bathroom scales? Is it the weight loss magazine that you're subscribing to every week? Is it the social media channels that you follow? Is it the 500 calories or less cookbook that you are only cooking your dinner from? And making a list of all of those things and systematically, one by one, removing those things from your life. It can feel terrifying, of course, if you've started your day every day for the last 30 years by jumping on your bathroom scales. The first morning that you don't do that feels terrifying, right? But it's also so liberating. So a really practical step for me would be to ask someone to look around your house, look through your phone and your social media, and try and work out what is keeping you in this diet mentality. Either get rid of it all in one go if you're feeling brave and want to rip that plaster off. But if that feels like a step too far, kind of list it out and slowly, one by one, remove those things from your life.
Having watched this interview, Bex, some people will want to find out more about you. I'm going to add a link to your Total Wellness Club profile below and also into the description. But how else could people find you?
Absolutely. So I'm most active on Facebook and Instagram. So my Instagram profile is just at Bex Brame. My Facebook group is called Break the Diet Cycle with Bex. Or of course you can look at my website, which is on my Total Wellness Club profile anyway, but that's just bexbrame.com.
Lovely, thank you. Really do appreciate your time today, Bex. Each week I ask our experts to leave us with a challenge. It's just an idea, it's something that we could try. If you like it, stick with it. If it doesn't work for you, just throw the idea out and keep searching for something else that does work for you and helps you moving forward. I'll be taking this challenge. You can see my findings from this challenge in our challenge roundup video, which is a monthly summary covering all of the challenges our experts have shared. To get that video and all of our latest health and wellness uploads, including interviews and reviews, subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified whenever we post. And if this channel can help your friends and family, please share it with them too. If you want to get proactive with your health, Total Wellness Club are developing health quests over at questly.life. Join while we're developing the site and get access to health quests that immediately personalise your health. You'll get to identify which of 10 critical health categories need your attention. You'll be able to track your progress and you'll be able to help us develop the platform too. I'll put a link in the description and I'll see you in the next video.